What's up, you guys? I am back for another YouTube channel, and I'm going to do a book review, guys, of a special book that I read. Um, it's called How the Democrats Won the Blacks, guys, as you can see. So, before I get into that, I'm not going to say it's specifically a book, guys. It's more, because it's 100 pages, so it's not really a book. It's more like, hold on, let me put this on here. So it's more like facts or something like that. I'm not gonna necessarily say that it's more like a book. Well, anyways, because I consider a book that's like maybe 300 pages long, 250 to 300 pages long. So hold on. Okay, so it's called How the Democrats Won the Blacks. The Democrats Won the Blacks, and it was created by this author. He's on Facebook by Robin.G. Robinson. So he made the book. He made it recently last month, and I'm trying to get my thought process in, guys, because when I read this book, it's some things in a book I'm like, wow, So this is a book review, guys. I was learned history, slavery, everything when I was younger in high school, especially middle school. But like the stuff that he mentions in the book is out of the ordinary, and they never taught us that while we was in school. So for instance, the Democrats, and then you got the Republicans, right? So the Republicans was the ones that actually stopped slavery and segregation back then, not really the Democrats. And Democrats, they were the ones that wanted to have segregation. They're the ones that created the Jim Crow law. So when I read this book, I'm like, wow, this person states a lot of facts, because the reason why I say facts is I like to do my research on certain things. Now, what he mentions in the book is about how the Democrats won the blacks. So now you know mostly which party are you in, the Democrats or the Republicans. And most of the Democrats have mostly African American people voting for them every time when they vote. They don't really want to join the Republican side. So he explains that a lot of black people, well, I'm not going to say black, I'm going to say African American people. A lot of African American people, majority of them likes to vote for the Democratic parties because the Democrats, they offer benefits, and also mostly predominantly a lot of benefits, especially for the low income families. Because another thing, SNAP benefits, that was under the Democratic government, not from the Republican. And the Republican laws is that they want everyone to actually not depend on the government, but basically work hard for your money, versus being dependent. So they want you to be more independent. The Republican laws versus the Democrats, when they started giving benefits to low income families, they want the African Americans, to continue to vote for them, basically. So they're saying that they want them to be a slave to the system. You know what's crazy? I'm like, wow, when I think back at it, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and he helped the blacks back then, the African Americans back then. I don't know why I keep saying black. The African Americans back then, and back then, a lot of African Americans, they were Republicans. They voted for Republicans. The Democrats was mostly, the white supremacy, racist white people back then. So now it's changed all of a sudden. Like now, mostly the African American, excuse me, I keep saying black. The African American has now migrated to the Democratic side of today's society. Poverty, So when I read the book, it is short, guys. I read this book in like less than an hour. So I don't really think I consider it like a book or anything because it's only 100 pages. But Robin, like I said again, he does a really good job. Everything he says in his book, guys, is all stating facts. So there's nothing fake about what's in the book, because I did my research on certain things that he said and I didn't know. Like, for instance, the Black War. The Black War, that was basically an all African American community place back then in 1920. And they all had businesses. They all had, you know, they worked hard for their businesses, their communities, their houses and everything. And then for the Democrats to destroy their community back then in 1920, or because of they believed one of the guys raped a white woman back then. So that's how that happened, and that's how that ended up being a whole massacre. And what happened to those African Americans, they became homeless after the Democrats back then, the Southern Democrats, destroyed their homes and their businesses. And then when 1960 came, they had to rebuild it up again after the whole massacre, for it to get destroyed again for the second time because of segregation and the laws. So the reason why I'm saying wow to this, because like I said again, I wasn't taught politics in school about Republicans, black people were Republicans, and he speaks the truth in this book, guys. And when I searched this up on the internet, this didn't pop up, like, because he just made it. And then a lot of people's not going to believe everything what he say, because of today's society, you know, they don't want to get into politics and stuff like that, the Democrats or the Republicans. He does say something about well, when I was in, what is it, high school, when Obama became president, everybody wanted to vote for a President Obama, because the main predominant reason was because he was black, and everybody assumed, oh, well, we never had a black president before, so we're going to vote for Obama. But Obama was a Democrat, and in reality, even after he became president, he didn't really help out for his people, which is the African Americans, you know. And he's actually African American and part white. But honestly, in today's society, African Americans don't look out for their people. So a lot of people was complaining about that. But it's funny, before he became president, everyone, you know, wanted him to be president, because he was going to be the first black president in the USA. Eventually, nothing didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, from physical to mental slavery, guys. I would suggest you guys really read this. Another thing what I like about the book, right? Not only the facts, it's a lot of history. He goes into depth with the history. And if you guys are into learning about history, it's very educational. Yeah. And I literally got it on my Kindle for free. So like this book is really good. And like I said, guys, if y'all want to learn something educational sometimes, if you don't want to, you know, because social media is not really educational. I feel like if you read a book and do this is really educational. So I have another book review that's coming up. I'm going to upload that one on Friday, guys. So stay tuned for that. I will upload that one on Friday. But you guys, check out this book. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, a lot of people's going to disagree with this statement. And to be honest, you know what's crazy though? A lot of people are forced to vote for the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? I was told their parents make the younger voters vote for the Democrats, and that's why it's overpopulated. So me growing up, I was even pressured to vote for the Democrats, you know. But now, today's society, I'm not on either party, but I do believe one of the parties is progressing more than the other, you know. And I love to know about history, so that's why when I read this book, I was like, okay, so now that makes sense. How the Republicans used to be African American people, and and they used to vote for a Republican, and then they just switched over because of, you know, the new laws in today's modern society. It's different from 100 years back then, you know. So you guys, let me know your thoughts on this. You know, it's crazy, guys. I read this book today and I finished it. Like I said, this book is like less than an hour because I don't really consider it a book because it's not really a story or a book, you know, where you just engage. It's more about speaking facts because it's only 100 words. I do like that he used a lot of verses from the Bible inside the book. So a lot of scriptures he used, which is really good to state his facts. And he's also a Christian, so yeah, guys. He was very creative of what he did with this book. And like I said, this book, since it's speaking facts and it's historical, I definitely rate this book. From book standpoint, if I was to get like stars, I would rate this book a 5-star book. And definitely, if we're going to talk about from a scale 1 to 10, a 10 out of 10, guys. So let me know what you guys think. And yeah, and stay tuned for my next review, guys. Stay tuned for my next review, guys, and definitely like, comment, subscribe. I know I'm just a little bit off today, but I'm trying to get my thought process in check because I'm like, I read so much stuff in this book and it's just like my whole mind is like, wow. You know what I'm saying? When you read some information that you never heard of before and you feel like it's like new information and you're like, wow, that's crazy, you know? So like I said again, I like reading stuff about facts, reality, you know, not just only fiction. So again, guys, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.